Good morning. The Dodgers signed a free agent outfielder and it's not Bryce Harper. Instead, the Dodger agreed to a 4-year, $55 million deal with outfielder A.J. Pollock. Jeff Sullivan looks at what kind of player the Dodgers are getting in Pollock. A good one, he concludes, if he can stay healthy. Dickey agrees that Pollock is a good signing but can't understand why they wouldn't try to sign Harper first. Alden Gonzalez also examines why the Dodgers want Pollock and writes that it is the new normal that they'd sign the cheaper Pollock that keeps them under the luxury tax threshold. Ken Rosenthal writes that the Mets almost certainly aren't going to sign Harper or Manny Machado, but that they should. The Athletic sub. REQ, Ben Weinrib argues that the Mets' claim that they can't afford either of the two big free agents is not a believable one. Instead, it's just an excuse to not spend money. MLB Players Association head Tony Clark calls the lack of action in the free agent market a threat to our game. Tim Brown calls for the commissioner's office and the union to negotiate solutions to these problems now rather than wait for a work stoppage in 3 years. Good idea. Good luck with that. The Padres let Kevin Ace look at their finances and reports that the team is mostly clearing debt in order to spend sometime in the unspecified future. Craig Edwards analyzes the information in Ace's piece and sees the logic in what the Padres are doing. The question then becomes, is all the losing worth it? Lindbergh looks at the rise of the super utility player and why every team in baseball wants their own Ben Zobrist. I mean, a Zobrist-type player. There's only one Ben Zobrist. Tom Verducci ties the super utility player into larger socioeconomic trends in American society and sees MLB teams turning versatile free agents into something akin to the gig economy. Clearly, this is not good news for labor peace. MLB is not done screwing over the minor leaguers either. They are now trying to get the state of Arizona to exempt baseball players from minimum wage laws. For those trying to defend how much MLB pays minor leaguers, remember that on top of the crappy regular season wages, spring training is unpaid. As if it were something optional. David Schoenfield looks at the history of the Yankees signing free agents. The Rockies and Nolan Arenado haven't come to an agreement on a new salary and it looks like they're heading to arbitration. Even if Arenado loses, he'll break the record for the highest arbitration award. The Giants have signed left-hander Drew Pomeranz to a 1-year, $1.5 million deal. Tigers outfielder Nicholas Castellanos has reportedly asked to be traded before spring training starts. Castellanos can become a free agent at the end of the year and the Tigers have been trying to deal him. Pitcher Oliver Drake is not changing teams. He's been on waiver wire roulette since May with 9 different teams since then, but he has cleared waivers and will stay in the Rays organization. To no one's surprise, Ichiro Suzuki has signed a minor league deal with the Mariners. He'll almost certainly play in the Mariners' 2 games against Oakland to start the season in Tokyo, which is less than 2 months away. Jake Mintz has 6 reasons that Ichiro should be the next unanimous Hall of Fame electee. Of course, he has to retire first. I remember when we said that about Rickey Henderson too. The Hall of Fame is kind of Jay Jaffe's thing, so he analyzes the vote totals of everyone on the ballot this year. Jacob Feldman argues that the mob mentality of social media is playing a huge role in Cooperstown voting, for good and bad. He echoes a comment I made earlier in the week that Rivera became the first unanimous electee to Cooperstown because no voter wanted to risk the online lynch mob that would come after anyone who didn't vote for him. Tim Kirkjian shares some interesting memories of the 4 players elected to the Hall this year by the BBWAA. Brandy Halladay, the widow of Roy Halladay, announced that Halladay would have a blank cap on his plaque in Cooperstown. She didn't want to decide between the Blue Jays and Phillies. Also, deciding between the 8 different caps Halladay wore in his time with the Blue Jays would have been a problem, although she didn't say that. Mike Mussina is still trying to decide between a Yankees cap and an Orioles cap. Maybe he'll go in with a blank cap as well. Either would be fine, but he did pitch 500 more innings with the Orioles. As I mentioned last time, Edgar Martinez absolutely raked against Mariano Rivera during their careers. But Martinez said he'd trade them all for a hit instead of making the final out of the 2000 ALCS. New Mariners outfielder Mallex Smith was asked what he was most looking forward to playing in Seattle. His response, "People in the stands," was a clear shot at his former team, the Rays. What? Smith isn't looking forward to the new powder blue jerseys and caps that the Mariners will wear in spring training? Reliever Adam Ottavino will be the first player in Yankees history to wear the number 0. Brewers general manager David Stearns got a contract extension and a new title of President of Baseball Operations. As much as I like to needle the Brewers, this is a well-deserved reward for a job well done. Fans of Estrellas Orientales, a team in the Dominican Winter League, swarmed the field as the team won their first title in 50 years. Which is an impressive streak since there are only 6 teams in the league. The team had Miguel Sano, Jumbo Diaz, Padres prospect Fernando Tatis Jr., and Reds prospect Jose Siri on the roster this year. Also Robinson Cano, although he didn't actually play. Cano sat in the dugout in uniform. And finally, a JCPenney's holiday video is getting some notice a month after Christmas. The video was of a blogger stopping random people shopping in the store and asking them about giving and getting gifts for Christmas, and then she offered to pay for their gifts. One of the people she stopped was the recently retired Adrian Beltre and his family, and nobody noticed this until now. And yes, Beltre asked that anything JCPenney's wanted to buy for him be donated to charity. And no, the blogger didn't ask if she could touch his head. But I bet she would have had she realized who she was talking to. And tomorrow will be a better day than today, Buster.